Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome all y'all back to my channel. I am your host, the Supreme Litigant, and I'd like to welcome y'all back to Smart Local TV. Before I begin, y'all already know the routine, man. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll give y'all a second to do that. All right, now let's jump right into this. Okay, the title of this video, I know y'all heard me talk about this a lot. And I'm going to do it again because I need y'all to understand that these are not courts. They look like courts and they function like courts, but they are not courts. They are administrative agencies. That is what they are. They're administrative agencies. And I'm going to show you the proof. Okay, I'm going to show you the proof. So I'm going to start with this old case because you have to go back in time to figure out what the hell these people have done. So this is an old case. I'm not going to read this whole case. I'm going to read some of it, not all of it, very little of it. But this is a case from 1815. This is the title of the case. Now, before I go to where I want to go, there's something in this case that stuck out to me as a footnote right here. It says a policy of insurance is a maritime contract and therefore of admiralty jurisdiction. How many of y'all have insurance? That really stuck out to me. And I think this is the court case where this conclusion or this citation is from right here. I think this is the court case right here. So I'm gonna have to go and read that and check that out. But let's go to page 6 right quick because I want y'all to see something. It starts about right here. It says, from a historical review of them, from the consideration that in all other states in Europe, maritime courts were about the same period established, possessing the same jurisdiction, viz., over all maritime torts, offenses, and contracts, proceeding by the same forms, the forms of the civil law. So I'm going to explain to y'all what civil law is. This case right here, the judge is basically giving you a history lesson on admiralty jurisdiction and how this jurisdiction was exercised. It was exercised through the codification of procedures and rules and stuff like that. So let's see what civil law is. I'm going to explain to y'all what civil law is. All right, let's go right here. Civil law, in contrast, is codified, meaning codes. How many of y'all so-called live in a state that has codes? That's civil law, okay? Codes. Countries with civil law systems have comprehensive, continuously updated legal codes that specify all matters capable of being brought before a court, the applicable procedure, and the appropriate punishment for each offense. Such codes distinguish between different categories of law. Substantive law establishes which acts are subject to criminal and civil prosecution. Procedural law establishes how to determine whether a particular action constitutes a criminal act, and penal law establishes the appropriate penalty. In a civil law system, the judge's role is to establish the facts of the case and to apply the provisions. What provisions? The provisions of that code, and to apply the provisions of the applicable code. Code. Are y'all hearing me? Code. That's not a common law system. All right. Now let's go to this case law. I want y'all to see this shit now. I want y'all to see this. Pay attention now. Pay attention. This is gonna blow y'all. Pay attention. If you put these pieces of the puzzle together, you'll see what I'm doing. Okay. Admiralty courts are civil law courts. There's the case right there. Y'all can go and read that case. And that citation is in that case. Okay, y'all already know what civil law is, but we're going to read it again because I'm going to show y'all what the fuck is going on. They are not courts. They are agencies. What is civil law? Nicaragua, what is it? Yeah, is a civil law jurisdiction and axiomatic that in civil law jurisdictions, lawmaking is exclusively the function of the legislature. Blah blah blah. Let's go down here. The basis of all law is legislative. Statutes enacted by the legislature are the primary recognized source of law in civil law traditions. Let's go down. The study of civil law is the study of codes, codes, codes. Okay, let's go on down. Let's go down some more. Now we're going to get into some more of the civil law stuff. The distinction between the civil law and our own more merciful common law. Under the former, they're talking about the civil law right now. Under the former, which is civil law, there is no presumption of innocence. I guess this is why they always treat you like you're guilty until proven innocent. Does that make sense, y'all? Civil law, okay. A mere official charge of crime puts the accused upon his defense. His history is an open book, every page of which may be read in evidence by the prosecution. Every crime or indiscretion of his life may be. Don't they do this shit on the news? They do that shit all the time on the news. Every crime or indiscretion of his life may be laid bare to feed the presumption of guilt. How different is our own common law, which is the product of all the wisdom and humanity of all the ages. Under it, the accused comes into a court of justice. What is that? Panoplied, or something like that. Anyway, in the presumption of innocence, which shields him until his guilt is established beyond a reasonable doubt. And there's the case right there, just to let y'all know. All right. So now that we have established the nature of the action, because admiralty courts are civil law courts. Civil law courts are statutory courts. Codes. That's what they're doing. So now let's get down to business. I just told y'all they are not courts. They are agencies. I don't care what they call it. They are not courts. They are agencies. Despite its name, the tax court is not a court. Despite its name, the tax court is not a court. Despite its name, the tax court is not a court. Instead, it is an adjudicate. I can't even say the damn word. I'm trying to read so fast. It is an adjudicatory administrative agency in the executive branch of state government. Because the Maryland Tax Court is an administrative agency, the standard of review for tax court decisions is generally the same as that for other administrative agencies. Let me go back. Despite its name, the tax court is not a court. I don't care that they called it a court. It's not a court, is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. It's not a court. These are administrative agencies. They look like courts and they function like courts, but they are not courts. They are performing ministerial duties. A ministerial duty is one which is required by statute. Codes, statutes, civil law. Codes, statutes, civil law. A ministerial duty is one which is required by statute. A ministerial act is an act that a public officer is required to perform in a prescribed manner in obedience to the mandate of the legal authority, which is that statute, and without regard to his own judgment or opinion concerning such acts' propriety or impropriety. When a given state of facts exists, discretion, on the other hand, is the power conferred on public functionaries to act officially according to the dictates of their own judgment. They're performing ministerial acts. Now, let me tell y'all how they give these motherfuckers immunity. Like when you try to sue a judge in a criminal case or some shit like that. Let me tell you how they give them immunity and say that they have absolute immunity or something like that. In a statute, the legislature will authorize the officers of these administrative agencies to sentence you from, let's say, I'm gonna type it in here. Say from 5 years to 99 years. Okay. Whenever the judge is trying to so-called figure out, whenever the so-called judge is trying to determine the amount of time that she or he is giving you, they're exercising discretion in doing that, like members of the judiciary do. That's what they're doing. And because this so-called judge has exercised discretion during that sentence, they consider that exercise of discretion a quasi-judicial function. Does that make sense? Makes sense to me. On to the next. And let me show y'all these cases. All of these cases, just to let y'all know, I posted all of these cases on the community section of my YouTube channel for y'all to see. Let's go on. Administrative agencies are not a part of the government's judicial branch. Administrative agencies are not a part of the government's judicial branch. Administrative agencies are not a part of the government's judicial branch. They are independent and part of the executive. There's the case right there to support it. Administrative agencies, like federal courts are administrative agencies too, just to let y'all know. I'm just letting you know. U.S. district courts, those are administrative agencies. U.S. Court of Appeals, those are administrative agencies. Administrative agencies, like federal courts, frequently exercise adjudicatory or quasi-judicial functions. There's the case right there to support it. An agency functions as a court when it exercises judicial power. An agency functions as a court when it exercises judicial power. There's the case right there to support that contention. It exercises judicial power when it can enforce its subpoenas and orders. 2, its decisions have preclusive effect without further action by a state court, and it can provide substantial remedies and relief to injured parties. That an agency is part of the court system makes it more likely to function as a court. That an agency's decisions are appealable to circuit court makes the agency less like a court. There's the case right there to support that contention right there, the Maryland Commissioner case right there. Let's go on down. I'm going to read this shit again because I'm going to make y'all understand this shit here. Anytime you get a so-called traffic ticket or they charge your person with resisting arrest or something like that, they're doing it under a code, under civil law. And I just told y'all admiralty courts are civil law courts. That means the nature of the action is admiralty. Are y'all getting this? You are not crazy. That's why they have these bonds in here. In common law, there are 3 bonds. In admiralty, there's about 4 or 5 types of bonds. Anyway, let's get on. Indeed, we acknowledge that the tax court performs many functions similar to those performed by Article 3 courts. The judges of the tax court hear evidence, make rulings, review briefs, and render opinions that are binding on the parties and appealable to the Court of Appeals. These facts, however, do not necessarily lead to the conclusion that the tax court is a court of law. A court of law is a court that is proceeding under the common law jurisdiction, like actions at law. A court of law hears actions at law, so on and so forth. Remember I told y'all that all these courts were separate, but as time went by, they merged all these courts into one court, so to speak. Anyway, the tax court, these facts, however, do not necessarily lead to the conclusion that the tax court is a court of law. As the term is used under the appointments clause, it is not enough merely to focus on the nature of the function being performed. Very often, administrative agencies that are in or associated with the executive branch perform I can't even get the words out, y'all. I'm trying to read so damn fast. Adjudicatory functions. There we go. One need only consider the operation of the Social Security Administration, which is an administrative agency, by the way, to recognize that our system of government is replete with instances of administrative agencies performing adjudicatory functions. As Justice Brandeis once explained, the principles of separation of powers left to each branch power to exercise, in some respects, functions in their nature executive, legislative, and judicial. Certainly, administrative agencies are not courts of law, as the term is used in Article 2, simply because they perform can't even get it out, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me just skip this shit. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyway, but there's the case right there to support the contention right there. Let's go down. All right. Now, I just told y'all that they are administrative agencies. So let's see what this word administrative means. And this is an Alabama case right here. There's the case right there. The word administrative is synonymous with the word executive. The word administrative is synonymous with the word executive. Yeah, is that clicking? The word administrative is synonymous with the word executive. I just told y'all that administrative agencies are part of the executive branch of government. Is it making sense to y'all now? The word administrative connotes of or pertains to administration, especially management, as by managing or conducting, directing, or superintending the execution, application, or conduct of persons or things. Black's Law Dictionary right there. 6th edition. Emphasis added. Thus, administrative acts are those acts which are necessary to be done to carry out legislative policies and purposes already declared by the legislative body. I just told y'all that they were enforcing codes. Okay? The legislature writes the codes. And these so-called courts, they are not courts. They are agencies. They're administrative agencies, which are part of the executive branch of government, and they are enforcing they are enforcing statutes of the legislature. They are enforcing public policy of the legislature. Is this making sense to y'all now? They are not courts. I don't give a damn what they call them. They are not courts. They are agencies. They are administrative agencies, and they are part of the executive branch of government. And these agencies are exercising all three powers of government. That is what they are doing. They are not courts. So what's an example of an administrative agency? The DOJ, the DEA, the Department of Risk Management, the DMV, CPS, the school board, so on and so forth. Let me give you another one. A county is an administrative agency. I'm convinced that a county is. I'm convinced that a city is an administrative agency. They are administering public policy of the legislature. Let me read this for y'all again. Thus, administrative acts are those acts which are necessary to be done to carry out legislative policies. When they sentence your ass to jail, they're doing it under a fucking statute. This statute is somewhere in their code. That code is civil law. Admiralty courts are civil law courts. The nature of the action is admiralty. That's what they're doing, y'all. I hope this makes sense. That is what they are doing. That's what they're doing. So I hope this video helped y'all understand the nature of the action, and I hope this helped y'all understand that they are not courts. They are administrative agencies. So whenever they procreate these quasi-criminal charges against your person, they are filing a lawsuit against your person for allegedly breaching public policy. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it not under common law jurisdiction. They're doing it under admiralty jurisdiction. And they're using civil law to enforce their authority to over admiralty jurisdiction. That's what they're doing. Anyway, if y'all haven't, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Supreme Litigant is out. Peace.